Food delivery driver catches girlfriend cheating. This story is very meaningful. Everyone should hear it. Listen to Brian tell the story. My hands shook as I stood frozen in the doorway of our cramped apartment. The pizza box I'd been carrying slipping from my fingers and hitting the linoleum with a soft thud that echoed in my ears like a gunshot. There she was, Tess, my fiancée of 3 months, my girlfriend of 5 years, sprawled across our second-hand couch, her legs tangled with some guy in a slick suit, his lips on her neck like I didn't even exist. The air smelled of her lavender perfume mixed with his expensive cologne, a scent that twisted my stomach into knots. Her hazel eyes snapped to mine, wide with shock, and she shoved him off, her silk blouse half unbuttoned, her hair a mess. "Marcus?" she gasped, her voice high and shaky. "You're supposed to be out of town." I'm Marcus, 28 years old, a delivery guy with big dreams and a beat-up Honda that's seen better days. I've spent the last 5 years hustling double shifts, saving every penny to build something better. Not just for me, but for Tess, the woman I thought I'd marry. I'm not much to look at. Average height, messy black hair, a crooked smile. But I've got heart, or at least I thought I did until this moment ripped it out of me. Tess and I met at a dive bar, her laughing at my bad jokes, me falling for her sharp wit and the way she made me feel like I could be more. 3 months ago, I got down on one knee with a ring I'd worked my ass off for, and she said yes. Now, staring at her with this stranger, that memory felt like a lie. "Yeah, well, the gig ended early," I said, my voice trembling, raw with disbelief as I stepped into the room, the floor creaking under my sneakers. "What the hell is this, Tess? 5 years, 3 months engaged, and you're cheating on me?" My chest burned, a hot, searing pain that spread to my fingertips, and I clenched my fist to keep from falling apart. She stood, smoothing her skirt with shaky hands, her face hardening as she met my gaze. The guy, tall, broad-shouldered, with a jawline that screamed money, leaned back, adjusting his tie like this was just another Tuesday. "Marcus, listen," Tess said, her tone shifting from panic to something cold, deliberate. "If I'm being honest, I'm glad you caught me. All this lying, sneaking around behind your back, it was exhausting." Her words hit me like a slap, each one sharp and deliberate, slicing through the haze of shock that had clouded my mind. I could feel my pulse pounding in my temples, a dull roar in my ears as I stared at her, trying to reconcile the woman I loved with the stranger standing before me. "Exhausted?" I said, my voice cracking as I took a step closer, the pizza box still lying forgotten on the floor, its greasy stains spreading like the mess of my life. "Tess, what are you even saying? Sneaking around? How long has this been going on?" My chest tightened, a sickening mix of betrayal and disbelief churning inside me. The room felt smaller, the walls pressing in, the faint hum of the fridge in the corner a mocking reminder of the normalcy I'd walked out of just hours ago. She crossed her arms, her hazel eyes narrowing, and I saw a flicker of something. Defiance, maybe, or relief, like she'd been waiting for this moment. "Long enough," she said, her voice steady now, devoid of the warmth I'd once clung to. "I met Kevin last fall on that conference trip to Seattle. You remember? The one you said I should go to because it'd look good on my resume? Well, it did more than that. We clicked, Marcus. He's got everything, money, ambition, a real life, not this." She gestured around our cramped apartment, the peeling paint on the walls, the mismatched furniture we'd scraped together, and I felt a flush of shame creep up my neck. "This?" I said, my voice rising, raw and ragged. "This is us, Tess. 5 years. 5 years of me working my ass off, saving for that ring, planning a future, and you throw it away for some guy you clicked with?" My hand shot to my pocket, brushing the velvet box, and I yanked it out, holding it up like evidence. "This is what I've been killing myself for. Doesn't that mean anything to you?" Kevin chuckled, a low, smug sound that made my blood boil, and he stood, brushing his hands down his suit like he was dusting off my existence. "Come on, man," he said, his voice smooth and patronizing, his green eyes glinting with amusement. "Let's not make this dramatic. She's upgrading. Can't fault her for that." He clapped a hand on my shoulder as he passed, and I shrugged it off, my skin crawling at his touch. "Upgrading?" I spat, turning to Tess, my heart hammering so hard I thought it might burst. "Is that what I am to you? Some starter kit you ditch when something shinier comes along?" My voice broke, and I hated it. Hated how small I felt, how the love I'd poured into her was crumbling in my hands. "Marcus, stop," she said, her tone sharp, cutting. "You're a dreamer, okay? Always talking about this drone delivery business, but where's it gotten you? Still hauling pizzas? Still broke? Kevin's got a penthouse, A yacht. He's doing things. I owe it to myself to have more than this. She grabbed her purse, slinging it over her shoulder, and I saw the bracelet on her wrist. Diamonds glittering, bigger than anything I could have dreamed of giving her. You owe it to yourself? I said, my voice trembling with a mix of rage and hurt. What about me, Tess? I love you. I thought that was enough. My throat burned and I blinked hard, refusing to let the tears fall. Not in front of her, not in front of him. Love isn't enough, she said, her voice flat, final, like she'd rehearsed it. Not when I'm stuck here waiting for you to figure it out. Kevin's my ticket out. You can't blame me for taking it. She stepped toward the door, Kevin trailing her like a shadow, and I felt the ground shift beneath me, a hollow ache spreading through my chest. You're wrong, I said, my voice low, desperate. The grass isn't greener over there, Tess. My business, it's going to happen. I've got plans, real plans. You'll see, and you'll regret this. Sure, Marcus, she said, rolling her eyes as she opened the door. Keep dreaming. Maybe me leaving is your fault. You never gave me a reason to stay. She walked out, Kevin's arm slipping around her waist, and the door slammed shut, the sound reverberating in my skull like a death knell. I stood there, rooted to the spot, my breath coming in shallow gasps as the silence swallowed me. The apartment felt empty, lifeless, the faint buzz of the street outside mocking me through the thin walls. I sank onto the couch, the cushions still warm from them, and buried my face in my hands, the ring box digging into my palm. My mind raced. 5 years, gone. The late nights I'd spent sketching drone designs, the double shifts I'd pulled to buy that ring, the promises we'd made, all dust. I could still hear her laugh, see her smile, but now it was twisted, tainted by her words, by his smirk. My phone buzzed on the coffee table, jolting me out of the spiral. It was Vanessa, my best friend since high school, the one who'd always had my back. Happy anniversary! How's it going? Her text read, bright and oblivious. I stared at it, my thumb hovering over the screen, but I couldn't type a reply. How do you tell someone your world just imploded? Before I could decide, there was a knock at the door, sharp, insistent. I dragged myself up, my legs heavy, and opened it to find Mrs. Carter, our nosy downstairs neighbor, her gray hair pulled tight in a bun, her arms crossed over her floral robe. Marcus, what's all this noise? She said, her voice shrill, her eyes darting past me into the apartment. I saw that girl storm out with some fancy man. What's going on? Nothing, Mrs. Carter, I said, my voice flat, exhaustion seeping into my bones. Just a misunderstanding. Sorry about the noise. She said, her lips pursing as she peered at me. You look terrible, boy. Trouble in paradise, huh? Well, keep it down. Some of us need sleep. She shuffled off, muttering, and I shut the door, leaning against it as the weight of her words sank in. Trouble in paradise. What a joke. An hour later, the lock clicked, and Vanessa burst in, her curly hair bouncing, her brown eyes wide with worry. She'd used her spare key, her sneakers squeaking on the floor as she dropped her bag and rushed over. Marcus, why didn't you text back? What's wrong? She said, kneeling beside me as I slumped on the couch, the ring box still in my hand. Tess cheated, I said, my voice hoarse, barely audible. Caught her with some guy, Kevin. She's gone, Vanessa. Said I'm not enough, that I've got nothing to offer. The words tasted bitter, and I swallowed hard, the ache in my chest spreading like wildfire. Oh, Marcus, she said, her hand warm on my shoulder, her voice soft but steady. I'm so sorry. But listen, you're better off. I never said it before because I didn't want to ruin things, but Tess was always chasing money. She was waiting for you to hit it big, and when you didn't, she bailed. Maybe she's right, I said, my voice breaking as I stared at the ring, its tiny diamond glinting mockingly in the dim light. I'm all talk, Vanessa. This drone idea, it's just a fantasy. I spent every dime on this stupid ring, and now I can't even pay rent. I'm done. No, you're not, she said, her tone sharp as she grabbed my arm, pulling me to face her. You're smart, Marcus, and that idea, eco-friendly drones, it's brilliant. Tess didn't see it, but I do. You just need a push. She reached into her bag, pulling out an envelope and pressing it into my hands. $5,000. It's an investment, not a handout. Crash on my couch and get to work. Vanessa, no, I said, pushing it back, my pride stinging even as my heart sank. I can't take your money. You can and you will, she said, her eyes fierce, unwavering. Pay me back when you're a millionaire. I believe in you, Marcus. Deal? I stared at her, her confidence piercing through the fog of despair, and slowly I nodded, a flicker of hope sparking in my chest. The next day, I was back at the warehouse loading packages into the truck, the air thick with the smell of cardboard and sweat. Derek, my coworker, tossed a box beside me, his dark eyes skeptical. "Heard Tess dumped you," he said, his voice gruff. "Told you she was trouble. What now?" "Vanessa's helping me start the business," I said, stacking my load, the envelope of cash a heavy promise in my pocket. "Gave me money, a place to stay." "You're nuts," he said, shaking his head. "Startups fail, Marcus. You'll lose her cash and end up worse off. Stick to this. It's safe." "Safe?" I snapped, irritation flaring as I slammed a box down. "I'm tired of safe, Derek. I've got to try. I can't just give up." He shrugged, his doubt lingering like a cloud, but I pushed it aside, determined to prove him wrong. I stood there in the warehouse, the echo of Derek's words, "Stick to this, it's safe," ringing in my ears as I shoved another package into the truck. My hands were still shaky from last night. The image of Tess and Kevin burned into my brain like a brand. The air was thick with the smell of cardboard and sweat, and every thud of a box felt like a punch to my gut, reminding me of everything I'd lost. Derek's skepticism gnawed at me, a dark little voice whispering that maybe he was right. Maybe I was chasing a pipe dream, and Tess had seen it before I did. But then I felt the weight of Vanessa's envelope in my pocket, her $5,000 a lifeline I couldn't ignore, and that flicker of hope flared up again, stubborn and fierce. "You don't get it, Derek," I said, turning to him, my voice rough with frustration. "I'm not just going to sit here hauling boxes forever. I've got something real. I'm not letting Tess or anyone else tell me I can't do it." My chest heaved, and I wiped the sweat from my brow, determination settling into my bones like steel. He snorted, leaning against the truck, his lanky frame slouched. "Whatever, man. Hope's a hell of a drug. Just don't come crying to me when it crashes." He walked off, leaving me with my stack of packages and a growing resolve to prove him wrong. That night, I crashed at Vanessa's place, a cozy one-bedroom with mismatched furniture and the faint smell of coffee lingering in the air. She was at her desk, hunched over her laptop, her glasses slipping down her nose as she crunched numbers for her accounting job. I sat on the couch, my duffel bag at my feet, sketching drone designs on a battered notebook. Jade burst in, her pink hair a wild halo, her phone already recording as she flopped beside me. "So, Marcus, day one of the breakup saga," she said, her voice loud and teasing, her camera aimed at my face. "Tess is out there living her rich girl fantasy. Saw her on Insta in some designer dress. How's the heartbroken delivery boy holding up?" "Jade, cut it out," I muttered, my face heating as I tried to snatch her phone. "I'm not in the mood for your TikTok crap." My pencil scratched harder against the paper, the lines of my drone design growing jagged with my irritation. "Oh, come on," she said, dodging me with a grin. "This is prime content. Dumped for a millionaire, now couch surfing. My followers are gonna love it. You're welcome for the exposure." She hit post and I groaned, but Vanessa looked up, smirking. "She's not wrong," Vanessa said, pushing her glasses up. "Let her hype you up. We've got bigger things to focus on, like this." She tapped her laptop, pulling up a spreadsheet. $5,000 won't get you far, but it's enough for a prototype. I've got a friend Leo who's a tech guy. He owes me a favor. Want to meet him tomorrow?" "Leo?" I said, my stomach twisting with a mix of nerves and excitement. "You serious? I mean, yeah, hell yeah." I leaned over, peering at her screen, and for the first time since Tess walked out, I felt a real spark, a chance to turn this mess into something. The next day, I met Leo at a coffee shop, a wiry guy with tattoos snaking up his arms and a laptop covered in stickers. He sipped his espresso, eyeing my sketches with a raised brow. "Eco-drones, huh?" he said, his voice gravelly. "Not bad, delivery boy. Rough, but I can work with it. Give me a week, I'll build you a prototype. Cheap, since Vanessa's twisting my arm." "Thanks, man," I said, my heart racing as I shook his hand, my grip tighter than I meant. "This means everything." I could barely sit still, the buzz of possibility drowning out the ache Tess had left behind. Over the next few weeks, I threw myself into it. Long nights with Leo tweaking the drone, days delivering packages to scrape by, Vanessa keeping me fed and focused. Jade kept popping in, filming every step, her TikToks tagging me as drone dude and racking up views. "You're trending, Marcus," she said one night, sprawled on the couch with a bowl of popcorn. "People are rooting for you, screw Tess and her yacht guy." "Yeah, well, she's living it up," I said, my voice tight as I scrolled Tess's Instagram on my phone. There she was, sipping champagne on Kevin's yacht, her hair blowing in the wind, captioned Paradise Found. My chest stung, a sharp pang of loss and anger, but I shoved it down, focusing on the drone humming on Vanessa's table. Let her, Vanessa said, glancing over from her desk. She's betting on the wrong horse. You're gonna outshine her. Watch. Her confidence steadied me, and I nodded, determination hardening in my gut. 6 months later, it paid off. Leo's prototype worked, sleek, green, delivering packages faster and cleaner than anything out there. I pitched green wing deliveries to a room of investors, my palms sweaty, my voice steady despite the nerves clawing at me. They loved it. Within a year, I had a small fleet, a real office, and money rolling in. Vanessa stood by me, her investment repaid with interest, her smile brighter than any diamond Tess ever flaunted. Tess's world? Not so golden. I ran into her at a diner one rainy afternoon, Vanessa on my arm, our rings glinting as we grabbed coffee. Tess was in a stained apron, her hair limp, her eyes tired as she carried a tray of dishes. "Marcus?" she said, her voice small, startled, as she nearly dropped the tray. You're doing good, huh?" "Yeah," I said, my tone even, a quiet pride swelling in me as I squeezed Vanessa's hand. Greenwing took off. Vanessa believed in me. Turns out that's all I needed. What about Kevin? "He cheated," she said, her gaze dropping to the floor, her shoulders slumping. "Caught him with some model, and he threw me out. I'm back at square one, delivering again, just temporary." She forced a smile, brittle and fake. "Maybe we could grab a drink? Talk old times? I miss you, Marcus." "No, Tess," I said, my voice firm but not cruel, the ache of her betrayal a dull echo now. "You gave up on me, remember? Vanessa didn't. She's my future. Good luck, though." I turned away, Vanessa's warmth beside me a shield against the past, leaving Tess standing there, her tray shaking in her hands. We stepped outside, the rain pattering on the awning, and Vanessa grinned, nudging me. "Proud of you," she said, her eyes soft. "You showed her." "Yeah," I said, a weight lifting as I pulled her close, the storm inside me finally quiet. "Thanks to you." My phone buzzed, Jade's latest TikTok, a clip of Tess at the diner with Karma's a Betch overlaid, already viral. I laughed, a real free sound, and pocketed it. But here's the twist. Word is, Kevin's sniffing around Tess again, promising her the moon. She's got a choice. Fall back into his trap or figure out what really matters. Me? I've got Greenwing, Vanessa. A life I built from the ashes Tess left behind. She taught me love's worthless without trust, and dreams don't bloom without belief. I'm good. Better than good. But Tess? She's still chasing shadows. So, what do you think? Should Tess take Kevin back and risk it all again, or is her lesson still coming? Drop your take below. I'm curious what you'd do in her shoes, or mine. This ride's not over yet. Food delivery. Driver catches girlfriend cheating.